click on that participant at the bottom, it will show them on the side.
Oh, okay.
It helps me see. It's on the bottom. You see?
Okay, let me text Miss Miss Carrington. How many board members do we have present? Okay, Miss Carrington, you want to take it from here?
Sure. Let's see. It is 6:06 on Monday, January 25th, and I'd like to call the meeting of the Blytheville School Board to order. Let's see, we see Miss Johnson is present, Mr. Fair, Tracy, Desmond. See, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do we have 5 members present? Am I counting correctly?
I think 6.
6, and who am I missing? Me, Billy, Toby, 3, 4, 5. So Aaron, Toby, Billy, Tracy, Desmond is, oh, Miss Lewis, okay. So six members present. So we do have a quorum, and we'll start with item 3, old business. And Mr. Ashley, I'll let you go from there.
Okay, the Miss Wells had brought that one up, and it is something that we do need to address as far as with the board. If a board member is going to be leaving the board meeting, if they would please just acknowledge the fact that you have left the meeting. It could be either to the board body, or it could be, in the chat room over here. So Miss Watley will have an opportunity to write down what time that person left, but also at the same time, so the other board members will know who they're talking to. But if you would please just everyone respect that one, and just make sure if you do leave, and I know it does happen, but if you would just let everybody else know, acknowledge it.
Okay, great. Ms. Watley, just so you know, Ms. Wells has joined the meeting, so we are now at 7 members. And I wanted to thank y'all all for being patient, and Ms. Wells especially for holding down the fort while I've been out on maternity leave. So we'll continue on here with item 4, the information items and reports, starting with the superintendent's report.
I even though it looked like I had several things down and a lot of discussion, mine is a lot of information that I'd just like to share with you. Some of it's I got a little link to it, and most of it doesn't, though. But I wanted to start off and just acknowledge and give condolences to the Gathan family, and for all you that have worked with Lee Troy and known Lee Troy. Lee Troy was a good man. He worked for the district for a long time. In fact, Lee Troy called in 1982. He refereed my very first ball game that I ever coached. So he became a good friend of mine. In fact, when I came up here and interviewed for the job, of course, he'd known me for years, but Lee Troy spoke highly of me, and I think he had as much to do with me getting the job, pardon me, as anything, because of the respect that people had for him. So condolences to the Gathan family. He will definitely be missed. I know a lot of you were real close to him, have known him for a long time. So, but I did want to acknowledge the passing of Mr. Gathan, who was a very good man. Okay. School Board Appreciation Month. This, I wished it was actually where we had on this month. I wish we could have our school board meeting at the very beginning of the month, so we really can show you some appreciation. But each one of our principals has done something either through their building or through themselves, as to just to let you know that they thank you very, very much. Normally I try to give a steak dinner on this night, and of course it's very difficult to be able to do that when we meet virtually. But each building did have something to do. I think one of them has actually already reached out to you, but I'll start off with Miss Wilson. If you want to just kind of acknowledge what you had done, or your building had done, for the board in appreciation.
Sure. Chris, can I share the screen for a minute? Or Mr. Ashley, can you give me access to share?
Yes, you should be able to share your screen now.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so we put just together a small little gift as our appreciation. It says, Blytheville Primary thanks you for your helping hands, and it's just a little gift container of soap. Seemed appropriate for the COVID year that we're having, but we do appreciate. We know it is not hard, or we know how hard it is to lead in the times that we're leading, and this school year has been different from any other before. So we appreciate, all the hard decisions and conversations that have to be had one way or the other. So we appreciate the work that you guys do for that. And I dropped these off to Miss Watley this morning. So you can come and pick them up at your convenience when it's easiest for you to get them. So we appreciate it and we thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Ms. Walker.
Yes, Mr. Ashley.
Hmm.
Okay, what Blytheville Elementary did for the board is that we had a puzzle made for you all, each with your own picture. Mr. Ashley is holding it up, and it says, "We have all the pieces we need to make up an awesome school district because of you." And we truly do appreciate you all. We appreciate all the hard work and dedication that you all have shown to our district. And we also included a Blytheville Elementary School calendar and a Blytheville Chickasaw water bottle. So we truly do thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Ms. Walker, sorry. Mr. Wallace he has ball game duty tonight, so he couldn't make it. But I think he had actually sent you a little token of their appreciation. Hadn't he sent that through the mail? Did you? Okay. I think it was a gift card, maybe. But he did. He wanted to let you know, and he apologizes that he can't be here tonight. So, but he just wanted to reach out and tell you thank you very much, and that's from him and his building. And the high school, I think they're going to show a little something I think is pretty neat. Mr. Williams, you want to show that for him?
Yes, I sure will.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant. And if you threw a party, invited everyone you knew, you would see the biggest gift would be for me. And the card attached would say, thank you for being a friend.
From the Chickasaw Tribe of Blytheville High School, we thank you for the times that you've listened to us and spoke up, and we just really do appreciate you and all your hard work. And once again, we know it can be easy, but we thank you for being a friend and always listening and hearing us out and speaking up for our kiddos and us as well. Thank you very much. And I'll send it to each of you in your emails as well later on tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Blankenship. Y'all don't know how tough it is to get a bunch of grown adult educators to stay in a line for any length of time, and for them to do that. That's a feat in itself, isn't it, Ms. Blankenship?
It is.
So
short video, but it took a long time to get it.
Yeah, right. So that I thought all those were really neat, and appreciate you very much. I know it's not it's a thankless job a lot of times, and I know your phone gets blown up a lot of times, and for that, being patient with us and supporting us in the things that we're trying to do for our kids, it's much appreciated. So thank you very much. Thank you.
On behalf of
yes.
the board, I'd like to say thank you to all the schools and all the principals for y'all's thoughtful gifts. We really appreciate it.
Our next is Michael Dobbs. He's with Beardsley Finance, and he's going to share some stuff with us and bring share some good news about some finances for us. So, Mr. Dobbs, if you want to take over.
All right. Well, I appreciate that introduction, and hopefully everybody can hear me. I'm Michael Dobbs. I've been working here with the First Security Beardsley team for about 15 years now, but I know I'm a new face, probably to most of you board members. For those of y'all that may have attended one of our school board dinners that we normally hold every December, you may have seen me as the guy putting people on the bus, but other than that, you may not recognize me or know me. As you know, Marshall Hughes that you guys have worked with for a number of years passed away unexpectedly in July. And since that time, I've kind of been tasked with taking over for him as kind of the point of contact for school districts in the Northeast Arkansas part of the state. So it's a new role for me, but one that I'm excited about taking. And like I said, I've been with our school team for a little over 15 years now, kind of in the office as a behind the scenes guy, and I'm looking forward to kind of getting to know you all a little bit better as your point of contact. It's difficult for me to do that, obviously, over Zoom, but hopefully before too long we can all be together again and have these meetings in person, and that's kind of the preferred mode for me and probably most of you as well. As far as introductions go, I think this is a good one though, because I've got really some great news to share with you guys as far as refinancing one of your bond issues for some savings. So hopefully you've all gotten a copy of the document I've emailed out, the final recap for the refunding bonds. And I'm just going to go through that fairly quickly with everybody here and then answer any questions that you may have. Do I have the ability to share screen? Am I able to do that?
We can give you that ability.
Okay, so
You sure can.
All right, let me go ahead and share this screen just so you guys are looking at what I'm looking at as we go through this. So just to give you a little bit of a background, a little bit of a refresher on what we're doing here. This is known as a non-voted refunding issue. That means it does not require voter approval. And the reason being, we're not changing the term of the bonds from what the voters originally approved. In other words, we're not extending the term, we're not affecting the millage. All we're doing is trying to lower the rate that you borrowed the money at. And we have to meet one of two criteria in order to do that. Either $100,000 in savings or 5% of the remaining payments on the existing bond issue. We originally signed this bond up to be refinanced or refunded back in 2019, September of 2019. We were projecting at that time an interest rate on this new bond of 2.81%, and that would have given us about $320,000 in savings. The reason we did not issue these bonds at that time is there was another one of your bonds, the 2018 bonds, that made a little bit more sense to refund at that time. And if we can keep the total bond issuance at $10 million or less every year, we can get a better rate. So since this one was right around that $10 million mark, we decided to wait on it. Then in 2020, we kind of had a little bit of unexpected rates up and down, but we settled down. We got in a good rate on your second lien early in the year and got into refunding in July, again at a great rate. And so that was going to allow us to get some savings there, but that pushed this bond out to this year. So we came back this year, we're going to be able to issue it as under $10 million and get the best rate possible. So I'll go through this recap now. You can see sale date on January 13th at 11 o'clock a.m. We took bids. We originally started out at $9,675,000. Because of the way the bids came in and the fees and everything, we were able to reduce that down after the bids to $9,615,000. We received 5 bids for your bonds, the lowest bid coming from Samco Capital Markets. It's a group that bids out of Dallas at 1.469574%. So obviously that's almost half of what the original 2.81% rate we were looking at back in 2019. Other bids were FHN out of Memphis, Robert W. Baird bidding out of Milwaukee, Stevens Inc. here in Little Rock, and Raymond James also bidding out of Dallas. Samco has appointed First Community Bank in Batesville as the trustee. That just means that's where you'll be making your bond payments every 6 months. There's a debt schedule attached. Closing of this transaction is set for February 11th. That's the day all the money is going to trade hands. This section here, transfer of funds, just kind of gives you an idea of how that $9,615,000 is used. The majority of that, $9,430,365 and change, is being wire transferred to pay off the existing bond issue originally from August of 2017. And then the school district also gets just a little bit back at closing, just under $5,000. Your first payment is going to be August 1st, 2021, in the amount of $61,000. And then here's the thing that really is going to be of interest to you guys. The district is going to save $2,179,264.49 over the life of the bond issue. That's 15.61% less than the payments would have been if we had done nothing. So that is that's a fantastic number, both in terms of total savings and percentage of savings. I really could not be happier with the way that those savings and those bids turned out. And we're going to see here in just a second, kind of year by year, how that looks and how that shakes out. There is a final motion down here at the bottom that the board will need to make. I'm going to get through the rest of this packet real quick, and then we'll come back to that. So page 2 is just what we call our district's treasurer's memo, but we're going to include it just for your information. Part of the bid process is for the underwriter to submit what's known as a good faith deposit. So they have already transferred $193,500 into the school district's bank account. You get to hold that till just before closing, and then we send it back to be part of the total proceeds. The idea there is if they wanted to back out of the bid or cancel their bid after the fact or something, they've put up $193,000 that you would keep if they tried to somehow back out of the transaction. So that's again just money that's kind of in and out. But on the closing date, February 11th, you will receive a couple of different categories of funds, and again that total is just under $5,000. And we do include that $5,000 or $49.74 and 49 cents in our total savings figure. And then after March 15th, which is when the old bonds are actually paid off, the money actually sits in escrow for about 30 days before the bonds are paid off. You may receive an additional little bit of money just from that interest earned on that money sitting in escrow. So page 3 is just a breakdown of our principal and interest payments and a school year total or fiscal year total here at the right-hand side. Just a little bit of information on how that those bonds pay and when. But that's going to be more important here in just a couple of pages as we see. So page number 4 is our summary of savings. This is what we submit to Department of Education or DESE now, as they call it, to just prove that we met the minimum savings. So it's a pretty simple calculation of just on your old bond, how much principal was outstanding, how much were your total interest payments that were left, and what is that total? Let's compare that to how much principal you're paying now. Subtract out these two little pots of money you're getting at closing, what your total interest payments are going to be now, and the total of that. And the difference between those two, again, $2,179,000 and change. And then page number 5 is how we see those savings broken out over each school year. So you'll see in this far right-hand column, fiscal total. There's a total for each school year. So for the 21-22 school year, $421,000 in payment savings, meaning your payments are $421,000 lower than they would have been. And again, a similar number in the next school year, 22-23, 23-24, 24-25, and then 25-26. So over the first 5 years, you see you get a little over $400,000 each of the first 4 years, about $245,000 in that fifth year. And then after that, our payments kind of go back to close to where they were before, somewhere in the $5,000 to $15,000 a year less than they were before. So just kind of keep in mind as you're working through this, from an administrative standpoint and a budgetary standpoint, your bond payments are lower for the next 5 years, but they are going to kind of return back to where they were. Just kind of keep that in mind as you're budgeting what to do with these savings. One note on the savings: this money is completely unrestricted. There are no sort of requirements on how you spend that money. This is money that's just going to, be in your operating fund, left over that you're not transferring over to make a bond payment. So you can transfer that to a building fund and put it back. You can, use it for one-time expenditures. You can use it on little projects and things around the school district, pay for it that way. So you're really free to use that money however you wish. But again, over the next 5 years, you'll be getting it. And then after that, the bond payment goes back up to approximately where it was before. And then the last 2 pages, I'm not going to go over in much detail. This is really more important when we're doing an election type issue or a second lien type issue where you've got dedicated construction proceeds. But this is just known as the kind of the due diligence checklist that our bond attorney always includes. It gives kind of some history of the bond issue itself. For instance, what bonds are being refunded, what that bond issue did originally, and then just some other statistics and things. Each of these has to do with some state regulation or IRS regulation or some regulatory authority, oversight and point that they're trying to make. So they're all important, but I'm not going to kind of go through these each one at a time. If you guys do read over that after tonight and have any questions about it, please feel free to let me know. But that's really it as far as my presentation. Again, you guys did really, really well with this refinancing. 15% savings is a huge number. Anything over 3% is considered pretty good. And again, $2 million plus is really fantastic. So I'm very happy for you guys. It makes an easy introduction when I'm coming with good news of a couple $1 million. And don't expect that every time I get to talk to y'all, but it is a fun way to start. So thanks again, and I'll answer any questions if y'all have any.
Thank you, Mr. Dobbs. Are there any questions from the board members? Mr. Dobbs, I think you did such a good job explaining it. I think we're all good. And thanks again for saving us all that money.
Absolutely. There is just the one motion y'all will need to make that was on the front page of that. And I can pull that back up if I need to. But the board will need to make that final motion.
Okay. If you would pull that back up again, that would be great.
Absolutely.
You need to I'll move to adopt a tax proposal budget of expenditures with tax levy for fiscal year beginning July the 1st, 2022 to and including June the 30th, 2023, and to approve all related election documents.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion from Mrs. Wells and a second for Mr. Fair. We'll now entertain a vote. All board members, please raise your hand within the screen. And we've got is Desmond still present? Desmond, okay, we passes unanimously.
All right,
And
and that is a good one, but that's not actually the one for the bond issue.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay,
Right.
I'm not sure.
This one is-
Can you read the one that's on the screen, Miss Wells?
I can't, wait just a minute, let me see, can I see?
I
And,
mean,
and I
yeah.
did want you to know this
She
was
read
actually,
what was on the screen, but
No, she did.
this is an action item. Also, as we get down under the action item, but we can go ahead and move it up and do it right here.
Okay, it's the final motion. It's about adopt the resolution authorizing the authorizing the insurance and delivery of
It's 9 million.
my eyes. I'm trying to do it with my phone. Can someone else maybe got a laptop and is doing it?
I can read it.
Just go ahead and read it. It's on the, let me find it. Go ahead.
Okay. So Ms. Wells has made a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing the issuance and delivery of the 9.615,000 Blytheville School District Number 5 of Mississippi County, Arkansas, refunding bonds dated February 1st, 2021, and other documents pertaining thereto as prepared by the Etheridge and Clark Law Firm. And Mr. Fair, would you still like to second?
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, I see it now. It's on page 1 at the bottom.
Okay, and we'll vote one more time, folks, if everybody's raised their hand on the screen. Okay, and that's unanimous vote again. Mr. Dobbs, thanks for keeping us straight.
No problem at all.
Hey, Michael, I do need to ask you on that. Okay, now you need these signed back to you by when?
If you could get them signed over the next couple of days, I can either run up there one afternoon or we can work out a FedEx, just hopefully by the end of the week.
Okay. So there are several documents here that need to be signed by Ms. Carrington and Ms. Sims, who's the president and the secretary. And my intentions tomorrow was to try to run these by your house and let you sign them so we could go ahead and get them back in the mail, and also deliver any of the gifts that were brought up here to you. So I know most of you are pretty busy during the day, but I'll attempt it. But we can get them signed, Mike.
Okay, sure. Like I said, just kind of hopefully by the end of the week, and we've got a little bit of time in there, so we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you all again.
Yes, sir. Next thing is the state regional basketball tournament held at Chick Arena. We do have a tournament committee. We did win the bid. When we visited last time, we had just submitted a bid. We did get the bid. We were the only one that bid on it. And of course, I don't know if you've heard or not, but the way that the AAA is requiring you to do it is the games are going to be at 10 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and then 7 o'clock. And obviously the reason is to practice as much social distance so you don't have so many people in the gymnasium. So I'm not crazy about that, but at the same time, it makes hosting a tournament a lot easier, quite a bit easier. So we're looking forward to trying to, put on a good show for the people that do come here. Just show them what Blytheville is about, and definitely put our best foot forward on that. But it will be the February 24th, 25th, 26th, and 27th. But it is spread out for all day long just because of social distancing, and that's fine. But I entertain any questions that you may have from that.
Is there a capacity of how many people can be in there during those times?
Yes, ma'am. About 600. It won't be that many, one because of school being in session, a lot of traveling, a lot of spread out. Now, if we, we're hoping that we get a full house for when our team plays. But when I
You
say
said
full
you
house,
hope, you said you hope
Are
to
we
have a full house for when
It's one-
Blavel.
Mr. Hammond, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
You're hoping that we have a packed house, a full house when Blavel plays.
Well, what I mean full house is what limit they will let us put in there so we can adequately social distance.
Have we considered our students going virtual for the school days that the tournament is being held?
Well, that's a conversation that Ms. Blankenship and I are having or are going to have. It's been brought up.
Who put the committee together?
Uh,
And what does the committee consist of? Who does the committee consist of?
It's about 14 people.
Community members, staff, teachers. Who are they? What will be the focus of the committee?
So everybody can have a task to be able to put on the best tournament we can. Some is dealing with the community. Some are dealing with the teams when they get here. The organization of it, from parking to exiting the game, making sure that we have social distancing. Just everybody's got a part and everybody's playing a part in it.
Like we did for graduation, would there be seats X off, like the football team, you can't sit here, you sit here, like it was the stadium?
Yes, ma'am. And also, Ms. Lewis, what the AAA is doing, the reason I say I don't think that we won't have that many people here is from my experience of seeing when the football had their playoffs, AAA sold tickets online and you had to go online to purchase that ticket. And then when you came in, you would, you'd have to look at their phone and they'd coordinate that. So many kids these days, they don't have debit cards to purchase tickets. I don't like how they've got it set up that way, but AAA will be selling tickets online. And if it's any indication, like for football, they didn't have many people across the state show up for so many of the football games, even though they could have more. They didn't because of the way they sold the ticket. And they're going to do it again this way, that way. So.
But wasn't that one of the purpose for y'all voting for that is to receive money? So you cutting people out?
No, sir. No, ma'am.
No. Oh, okay.
No. The whole purpose of us wanting to get the tournament is twofold. One is to have a major tournament that may give our teams an advantage in moving forward. And number two is for us to be able to show off our gym. And folks, listen, I'm y'all, me, everybody, we're very aware that there's a pandemic, but moving forward, somebody was going to have the tournament. Somebody was going to put it on. We were either going to travel to their place or either they were going to come to our place if we bid on it like we did. So,
Mr. Ashley, I understand that we're having this, but as a leader, understanding that I'm pretty sure you understand that there is a pandemic, wouldn't it probably be more likely for the state to host this like an A-State or Fayetteville, University of Arkansas, a larger arena where people can be spaced out. The only concern that I have with this is putting that many people, 600 people, that will have to walk, travel, visit concession, visit restrooms. I think we're just gambling with our community, and you wanting us to have a max to capacity crowd for a home field advantage, home court advantage. It kind of shows me where our priorities lie with competitive sports versus a pandemic. And we just gave condolences to Mr. Gaten. And I'm trying to figure out where's the parallel that says safety should be number one. So, I mean, it's a goal, but I'm just listening, and I'm trying to get an understanding of where are we really placing our priorities and concern for our community. Second thing, since we are having it, are we opening this up for an opportunity for local vendors, food services, memorabilia to the community? I would like to probably, if we're going to do it safely, who's going to profit from concessions? Are they bidding to open the concession up to different vendors? If we're going to show off our new gym, if we can do it safely, have we thought about those that will be able to serve the people that are coming in many different forms?
No, we will not be bidding out the concession stand. Our concession stands are being ran where the money goes to our boys and girls basketball teams. Right now, our boys supporters or their parents have been running the one. FFA gave it up after last year, and they said they didn't want to do it anymore. They did it for years. So they're working with some outside folks, I think, about coming in to some type of food, I think, from maybe outside, maybe a barbecue place, but they're coordinate that with our folks that are heading up the concession stands. As far as the comment about packed gym, we can't have a packed gym, but if the Department of Health and a AAA have coordinated it and said, okay, we believe that it is safe to have this many people in here with this much space. I mean, if you'd had it at a bigger place, Mr. Hammett, all they would have done was that number from 600 would have went up to 800. That's what they do. They just look at the square footage and say, how many people can it hold? 6 foot, 6 foot. And then they come up with that number. So, we're being very careful as we move along. The AAA has, and so does the Department of Health. The guidelines that we'll be following is strictly from the Department of Health as far as what's in our gymnasium. Any more questions on that? Okay, thank you. Moving on to the next thing, is I wanted to give you an update on the funds that we have received. As you remember, last summer, we got an allotment of money that was pushed down from the government, and we called them ESSER 1 funds, ESSER 1. We got about $1.1 million from that. And we still have some left, but it's dedicated to that's going to go along with this other pot of money. Pardon me. This second pot of money that we've gotten, and we had been told that it was going to be considerably more than we'd got the first time, about 4 times more. and it was, we got $5.1 million from the federal allotment that it came down right when it was passed right before Christmas. That money can be used only for the same things that the money was used for in the very beginning, except now they've added facilities. And the reason they added facilities is because of, and there's a lot of mention in there about clean air. So what we'll be doing with a lot of this money will be looking at our HVAC systems in every campus. Obviously, we got some that needs more attention than the other, but to make sure that it's circulation of clean air, pardon me, filtered air. So that is the concentration on this money that we've been allotted this time. But still the other four things that the money was allotted for. So, you know, we're gonna have to put our heads together and be creative in what we're doing, but they've already pretty much given us the guidelines on what you can do with that money. But between what money we have left and that money, it's going to be about $6 million that we have left to spend. ESSER 1 funds, we have to spend it by 2022. This money we have to spend by 2023. So it's a good, handsome amount of money. You know, we're going to come up with some things. I don't want to make it sound like we're just going to come up with things. You know, there are things that we're spending this money for that it's going to be COVID related. Yes,
I got a
ma'am.
question. You saying facilities, right? And I'm listening to you say clean air and all of this. What about our high school? That roof, we have not gotten that roof fixed yet. Would that be something that we could do?
No, you couldn't do.
No.
You couldn't. If there was some way we could tie, in the clean air, filtered air with the roof, we could. But that's already been discussed, and we don't know that it can be, Ms. Lewis. But let me say this here: if there is a legal way to tie that in, and they would approve it, and us get a new roof out of it, that'd be great. The roof at the high school does need much attention. The patching that they're doing, we've been. I mean, I can remember the first rain, my first year here. I guess it was probably September, maybe August. I mean, and now it's just leaking more. But we have sent people over there and had roof people come. It's just at the majority of the leaks that we do have are at the high school because there were so many additions added on, another wing, another extension. Those extensions where they have been built are the problems of where they're leaking. But we've addressed every one of them. But putting on a whole new roof on that high school, which is where we need to concentrate, you know, that type of money is just not in our budget to be able to do. Now, let me say this here. If there's any way we can end up building up our building fund, and that was a discussion today we had about any excess money that we do from the bonds that could possibly be used. But that's something we'd have to sit down and look at. But no, the roof at the high school is problematic for sure. But I entertain any questions on the ESSER funds. You know, it's just something new that's been released to us. I've had to go to Little Rock and sit in on the training and talking about ESSER funds. And we're still asking a lot of questions. Can we do this? Can we do that? the question was asked, to Johnny Key about, can it be used for roof repair? His comments was, if you can figure out some way that ties into clean air, filtered air, and that would probably be a difficult task to do. Somebody will probably get creative.
Dirty
Ma'am?
rain coming through. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, dirty rain coming through. It's leaking everywhere from the roof. It's not clean.
Yeah, no
I
question.
don't.
But we'll probably have somebody over there tomorrow, trying to, all we're doing right now is patching it until we can get a new. But it is at the joints of where all these new additions were put on. So if there's no more questions on that, I'll move on. On the second lien bond, just kind of, and Mr. Harper will elaborate a little bit more on that. It has been an unbelievable job for us to try to get that parking lot started over there. And of course, without saying everything he's probably going to say, a lot of that second lien bond money is we're going to be spending it there. And of course, we have been spending it on adding, buying some equipment to furnish our field. Our new arena. We're going to look at some things for track. So moving forward, one of the main projects though coming out of that is going to be the parking lot. And again, Mr. Harper can share a little bit more with you on that there. Give you an update on COVID numbers. Our school district is considered in the orange for the first time in a couple 3 months. We've been in the red for a long time. It looks like the numbers that are being reported from the governor each day, the last few days, they have been down, and the map that he has does show it being in decline. So, happy for that. And our numbers, I've shared the numbers with you from our students. We don't have that many people. We do have a couple that are very ill, but getting better. So, and that's a plus. But COVID is still a pandemic, and they're telling us that we still go to school, we still have activities. We just have to make sure we wear a mask and respect the boundaries that they put in front of us. So, statement of financial interest due to the clerk. This is something that you have to do every single year, and just make sure you get that in to the clerk by the 31st. And that's about all I have. If anybody would like to ask me any questions on those. Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there are no questions of Mr. Ashley, we'll move on to the instructional report. Ms. Cook.
Okay. Good evening. Let me pull my report. First of all, I know how much time it takes for dedicated board members to learn about education and how it works and all the moving parts that are involved. So I'll add my appreciation to Board Appreciation Night as well. I appreciate those of you that take that time to do that and to learn those things, because it does make a difference.
And Ms. Cook,
yes,
Ms.
sir.
Cook, and I'm sorry, can I, let me go back to one thing when I was talking about COVID. We had been set up to get the COVID shot this coming Wednesday, and then I'd shared with you about what happened is both pharmacies just didn't get that many vaccines for this week, and they also told them, and we can't promise you we'll give you that many next time. So then all of a sudden I got a call and said, well, Walgreens is giving shots. So we're still going to try to organize something, but these places that we had mentioned to you. If you can, get your shot there, I would go ahead and do that. But just want to give you a little update on us trying to get a clinic set up where they will come up here, but they got to have the vaccine in order to do it. So, but thank you, Ms. Cook.
Okay, you're welcome. So for my report tonight, a couple of things. Mr. Ashley just mentioned the ESSER2 funds. And obviously, some of those funds are able to be set aside for student support to address learning loss, to make sure we have continuous learning opportunities for our students and our staff. And so we will be looking at those as well, and the use of those to possibly support any of our core academic programs, making sure that all of our kids are on level, any additional learning time that we might need for students who have fallen behind, tutoring possibly, or intervention, any of the resources that are needed to do that. So I did want to mention that we definitely want to look at the educational side of that amount of money and not just the facilities, although it's going to be great to have in all those different capacities. Also, I want to highlight the fact that, and you all know this, if you've been anywhere around our buildings, you know that all of the faculty and staff, including our administrators, are still continuing to have that emphasis on continuous learning and especially adult learning, even as they're juggling all the many things that happened because of the pandemic. And we go back to and repeat all the time that our district mission tells us that Blytheville School District recognizes that all learners are individuals and must have a purpose for learning. We foster a caring, creative environment that emphasizes the social, emotional, physical, and intellectual development of each learner. And I remind our teams regularly that each of us will always be a learner if we stay in education. There's never going to be a point in your career where you say, "Yep, I've got it all, I don't need any more." And so all of us are constantly working in that capacity. But I just want to recognize everyone right now, just because on a normal year, adding all of that additional learning is a pretty heavy lift. But this year, especially juggling all the things that all staff administrators are dealing with, it's an especially heavy lift. And I just want to recognize the amount of work that all of our teachers and employees are doing to make sure, that includes everyone. It takes all of us, the food services, the people that are working in the custodial services, along with everybody in the classroom and outside the classroom, just to make sure that this is going. So it seems to be going well because everybody has continued to put in that effort. I also do want to say that we are continuing our look and our work as a district around the professional learning communities. That is something that we adopted as a district, and that is part of our continuous learning, continuous improvement of each one of us. And our 3 schools that do not have the PLC grant will be applying again. There is going to be a 5th cohort in the state that will provide a grant similar to what the primary school has had for the last 3 years. And so our other 3 buildings will be applying again. We're hoping that our continued dedication to keep applying and to continue to work, even though we haven't been able to receive the grant, hopefully that the fact that we're not giving up, we're continuing to learn and grow as much as we can without the grant. We hope all those things will be something to our benefit as we move into that process. So those are the main things that I wanted to discuss with you tonight, just so that you know that there's still a lot of learning going on with our adults, which makes the learning for our students happen, because it's the adults in our buildings that keep things going. And without them, our kids would be lost. So just want to kind of lift them up to y'all tonight. That's it, Mr. Ashley and Ms. Carrington.
Thank you, Cook.
You're welcome.
Are there any questions for Ms. Cook? Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Cook.
Is all our transition over with the kids coming back from virtual? I know there was a long waiting list and people had to wait before they could get back in. They didn't start regularly like we wanted them to. So is all of them in now?
It is my understanding that everybody who's supposed to be on campus and transition back has transitioned to campus. We do have a deadline of this coming Friday, January 29th, which also happens to be my birthday. And we're going to be, that's the last day for them to move. That's 4 weeks into the semester at this point. They should all have a routine. They should all have a schedule and be comfortable one way or the other with on-campus learning or with virtual learning at this point. We discussed this even today with principals to make sure that everybody was on track with that, and everyone agreed that Friday is that last day to make those transitions.
So what if they're failing? They can't come back?
If they are failing, we've already been in contact with them. We've requested that they come back. And if they are failing now after 4 weeks, someone should have been in contact with them again, or they should be in contact with us and say, I'm not doing well. I can't handle this. We have to put some of that responsibility, Ms. Lewis, back on the student and the parent, because we've been reaching out again and again and again to say to them, you know, you're not doing well. We need to support you. We need you. You know, we can do that better on campus in many cases. And if they have decided they're going to stay virtual and they refuse to come on campus, then we're going to do the very best we can to continue to provide and offer those services and find a way to reach them. We're not going to just put it out there, but we don't just give up on them. We continue to try to make contact and do all we can to find a way to reach them.
Ms.
Yeah,
Cook,
I'm
I would
just
just
saying,
like to,
you had deadlines before and y'all just didn't keep them. So you were steadily letting them come in even when you had the deadline. So I was just wondering, was y'all gonna stick with it this time?
Yes, ma'am. In the fall, if you remember, the deadlines changed in the fall for several reasons. And part of that was it was a huge transition for adults, for people on campuses, for teachers, for parents, and for students. There was so much more unknown last fall. At this point, we pretty much understand what virtual learning looks like and what face-to-face learning is going to look like. We have gotten into good routines, which is why we've said by this point in this semester, there shouldn't be a student who's been going to school one way or the other that's not comfortable and knows this is the best place for me or not. And so at this point, they should have that decision. So no, this will be a firm
close
decision
the door.
based on that, because it's not new. We had so many transitions last year just because of the newness of the situation, and that happened across the state. But I believe we've learned a lot the first semester. And
Well, I got one major question. Okay, so a lot of them has come back, which we got small spaces again. That's what we supposed to be doing. Have y'all considered asking for another modification day for especially the high school and the middle school or whatever with their smaller spaces? You got Friday off. You sure you doesn't need another day where there's a A/B or something day that's gonna kind of free up and help as well, because it's packed. It's getting back packed.
at this point,
Have you all thought about that?
As I was saying, at this point, we have not received any communication from anyone saying it's not working. You
No one hear me?
Ma'am?
Go ahead, Mrs. Cook.
So obviously we will deal with any situation as it comes up, and
Anyone hear me?
good about being able to go to Mr. Ashley if they have a concern in their building. That's part of their job, is to go to Mr. Ashley and say, I have a concern. But working with the Department of Health, working with the rules and regs that we have, we don't feel like we've got anybody in a place that's not following all of those rules and regs. We do have more kids on campus now than we did before. But again, based on what we hear with the Department of Health, and if you look at our numbers, you can see that our numbers are very low on campus.
Hello?
So it doesn't seem as if our numbers are causing a spread right now. But again, principals are on top of that, and they will come to Mr. Ashley if they have a concern.
Ms. Cook, I would just like to say that most parents and kids that I've heard from this transition just within the last week or so. They saying that they wish that they had a went face-to-face in the beginning because we had a lot of students were failing and because of the virtual. And I want to commend you and the committee what you all are doing as far as getting kids back in a line, trying to provide space as far as providing with the guidelines. And that's all that you all can do. And like you said, it was totally left up to the parents anyway in the beginning, whether to send the kids face to face or virtually. If they had to send them face to face, all this here, doing this modifying and getting deadlines, dates, and all that. And for some reason, you all weren't able to meet. You know, it is what it is. But I want to commend you on that. They should have been going face to face in the beginning.
Well, we hope that we
and definitely not. I wouldn't consider trying to do no other day, messing with those kids, study, messing with them, trying to. We got one day out Friday. We don't need no other day out Monday through Thursday to try to adjust for anybody, not for these students, especially the ones that's in high school trying to graduate.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, if there are no further questions for Ms. Cook, I believe at the moment Ms. Lewis is trying to reset her computer and come back on, so we'll see how that goes. We may need to circle back to you, Ms. Cook.
Okay, that'll be fine.
Can you hear me now, Miss? It's back, I guess. I can't see anybody, but it's back.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, I can't see, but okay.
We'll let you take over from here.
Who?
Good evening.
Ms. Lewis, do you have a question for Ms. Cook?
Yeah, my question was, I'm like, we're full now, our capacity, and people are steady coming, the kids are steady coming back. Have you considered another modification day? We gave you Friday. Are y'all needing another one?
Ms. Lewis, we talked about that just briefly while you were still disconnected, but at this point, the principals have not brought any of those concerns to Mr. Ashley. They are watching and looking in their buildings, and when we see that there's an issue that needs to be held, they will come and address it. We meet regularly, we all talk regularly, but the parents and many of the students that we have coming back are glad to be back on campus. And so far, I mentioned the fact that looking at our COVID numbers, it's very small. Even if you look across the whole month of January, we're not having a big issue with spread. And we've had kids, you know, most of these kids back on campus since Christmas, since the Christmas break was over with. So at this
we got some that's waiting on tests now. We got a few that's waiting on tests, correct? So, I mean, y'all say it's calmed down, but it really hasn't. It's maybe outside of the school, but it really hasn't. But anyways, but my thinking is, but the teachers and the parents, so the teachers has the option to go tell the principal and they can all get together and say that they want another modification day. It's available because it's overcrowding. And we're not doing this 6 foot. It's nowhere, and we can't do it. It's impossible that all of them are back. So I was just wanting to know they have that option to discuss.
There's
that.
always
Okay.
a line of communication open within our buildings. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Yes, ma'am. There's always, in fact, we have communication logs in most of our buildings. If they don't want to go face to face to their principal, there's a place in most of our leadership meeting places where they can go in and just type in a request or a concern, and that concern will be addressed on that campus. And so, yes, our teachers should have easy access to visit with a principal or administrative staff of some sort if they have a concern.
I have no more, Ms. Carrington.
Okay, thank you. Thank you again, Ms. Cook.
Welcome.
Moving on to Ms. Cole.
Good evening. I would just like to say that for the special education, IEP students, 504 students, ELL students, we're totally involving those students in the learning environment on every campus, of course. And we are looking at our budget, Title 6B, RMAC, Medicaid, they're all in the black. So in the midst of a pandemic, that's pretty good news right there. That's all I have.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Ms. Cole?
Yeah, I would like for Ms. Cole to repeat that again. What you said about repeat that, your
I
report.
said, in all of the PLC, the professional learning community, all the activities going on in the school district on every campus, the special education students, the 504 students, the ELL students are totally involved in all of those activities, virtually, face-to-face, everything that's going on in the school, they are totally involved. And I just mentioned that the Title 6B budget, RMAC budget, Medicaid budget that I'm over, it's all in the black, so that's good news. We got to send our final report in today, and it was approved, so everything looks good in the budget area.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions for Ms. Cole? Okay, if there are no further questions for Ms. Cole, we'll move on to C, operations report with Mr. Harper.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I just want to take a moment to remember Mr. Tommy Bennett. Just wanted to share, I think most of you are familiar. We lost Mr. Bennett during the morning of December 18th, right before Christmas break. It was unexpected. And I think, as most of you know, Mr. Bennett served on the board for a number of years. He served the Blytheville community the majority of his life, retired firefighter, retired deputy, and then, of course, most recently served with us as a commissioned school security officer. He built some great relationships along the way with the campuses, the students, and I just want to say he'll be missed, and he has been missed, and just wanted to take a moment to remember him and thank his family for his service. Okay, Mr. Ashley had mentioned the parking lot at elementary school. As he had mentioned, we were advised by our facilities consultant, due to the tentative cost of the project, that we had to consult the services of a civil engineer. And so we've reached out to a firm that we had initially used for the construction of the gymnasium. We're trying to get just a tentative specification list as to what we were looking at. And we've actually, went out. I've accompanied the individual as far as measurements, the size of it. What we're currently waiting on are specs regarding the cutout or the tear out of the surface, removal of dirt, and replacement of like rock and gravel for drainage. There's a certain grade that it's going to have to be poured at, whether it's concrete or asphalt, and then ultimately the drainage, where that water will be pushed to during like heavy rain, like what we experienced today. So that's what we're waiting on, and are the specs. And then once we receive that, then we can move forward with the bid aspect of it. So definitely keep you posted as soon as we can receive that information. Regarding child nutrition, I just wanted to share that due to the return of students since Christmas break, our numbers are averaging district-wide around 1,200 meals per day. Transportation, I always like sharing. We've had no accidents or damage to report since my last report. Right now, we're averaging the transport of around 400 students to and from their homes each day. Our maintenance department, they continue to assist us with the distribution of PPE and disinfectant type of supplies to our campuses. And I just wanted to share that right now, I'm very thankful that our supplies are adequate. We're stocked, and we're not lacking as far as any PPE right now. And I'm just thankful, considering that a lot of those items are still pretty hard to come by. There's a pretty lengthy lead time when they're ordered, from the time they're ordered until the time we receive them. But right now we have adequate supply to supply our campuses and keep them supplied for some time to come. Our members of maintenance just went through some required asbestos training. That's something that is required by the Department of Education that they go through, and it just entails a little bit of background information about asbestos, what it is, the health effects, and then how to recognize it if they see it, like in tile or, like if tile's breaking down, how to take steps to kind of partition that off and report it and ultimately help get it removed. And again, I just wanted to say that our PPE supplies right now are in good shape. And again, I'm just very thankful for that, considering the difficulty with trying to order it and actually receive it. So we've been very blessed. And folks, that's all I have. Be glad to answer any questions.
Hey, Madam President, Ms. Carrington, I have a question for you, Mr. Harper.
Yes.
Where are we with the bidding of the custodial services? Well, I was looking for it and I may have not seen it yet. I know we were going to advertise or run a request for bidding or open bidding for the SG 360 replacement. Where are we? Where does that currently stand?
We're still trying to research specifications, what standards, what level of inventory, insurance standards, workers' compensation standards, hourly rates. All that's still being assessed and prepared. And then once we reach that point, it will be placed for bid.
Let me ask you a question. Was any of that information available when this last company came that we could have seen from them?
What, such as the level of inventory?
Yeah, the specifications, the requirements, everything it's been about a month or so, and I was expecting to see it go to bid rather soon because we were in dire straits to get a replacement company in. So are we okay with SG 360 now? We're not in an emergent position at this time.
I think one of the things that has happened, and some of the campus principals can probably attest to this, is one of the things that they've actually done since the last board meeting is they've taken several steps to ensure that areas within the campuses are being cleaned and that's indicated, whereas I don't think that was happening before. So that's really the only thing that's happened differently with SG 360. But again, as far as the specifications, the insurance standards and things of that nature, actually the rate of pay was one of the things that we were going to consider based upon something that you had mentioned last time, your concern with that. So again, that's a part of it. And again, that's being considered.
Thank you so much. And
Mr. Hammond, our current, we're just considering our current people that we have with, they're under review right now. So we're going to take it one step, one day at a time right now to see this review that we're doing with them, just to see where that goes.
Okay. You can get this information to the board or myself. I know we have under our professional services contract and our policy that the rebidding of different services should happen on the 3-year basis, right? And I was just wondering, how long have we been with SG 360, and was it time for us to even reconsider rebidding that professional custodial services out? So you can just get that information to me later on. I was just curious as to how many years they had been with the district. And I'm glad that things are working a little better for the buildings at this time. Thank you.
Folks, any other questions?
If there's further questions for Mr. Harper, we'll move on to action items. We have already voted on action item E, I believe.
Yes, ma'am.
we will take that out when y'all, and Ms. Patrick, would you like to add anything about these action items before we hear a motion?
No, ma'am. I mean, these are all just traditional, what we have to do every year. They're something that if you've been on the board for any length of time, these come every year about this same time.
Are there any questions from board members?
I do. So are we gonna leave E in? I mean, why should we put it aside? Not voting from inclusive with A through, what is it? F.
So that was the item from Mr. Dobbs that we voted on from Beardsley. So we've already approved E, so we don't need to leave it in there. So we'll just do E and F. And okay. Mr. Ashley, I'm having a hard time remembering what's the proposed budget of expenditures with tax levy? Is that in here?
Yes, ma'am. It should be in your packet. It's just something every year. This is for the 22-23 school year that it's just a proposed budget that we're required to present every year. So it's a year and a half, 2 years away. Of course, we always submit our regular budget in September, but this is just a proposed budget so they can begin to figure taxes.
And that is also done through Beardsley. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes, it is.
Okay, board members, if there are no further questions, I'll entertain a motion to accept action items A through D and F.
I so moved.
Second.
So that was a motion from Ms. Johnson and a second from Ms. Wells. Is there any discussion before we vote? If not, please raise your hand by voting with your hand.
I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say yes. I can't get video.
Desmond? Okay, so if everyone has voted, so Ms. Lewis, that will be 6-1. Mr. Hammett, are you abstaining or?
I voted yes. I mean, you.
My hand's up. I'm sorry. I raised my hand on the screen.
Yeah.
Mine was.
Okay, so then that's unanimous, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and moving on.
And on the personnel recommendation, there is one name because they were added today as far as employment. I think Ms. Watley had actually sent that updated agenda to you with that name on there. Okay. I can hear her screaming in there. So Ms. Watt. Yeah, because you had sent this out there, but yeah. So everyone has it, yeah.
Is that item A, appointment of a classified employee?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I've got 3 different packets that I'm looking at, so we make sure we're on the right one.
Yeah, it's probably the last one you got that you could probably hang your hat on.
Okay, board members, so we should have personnel recommendations next with items A, appointment of classified employee, B, resignation of classified employee, and C, retirement of classified employee. Is everyone up to speed on that?
And the classified employee that's retiring, he's actually retiring at the end of this month, which is just a few more days.
Is there any need to go into executive session to discuss A, B, or C? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we accept action items 6, personnel recommendation A through C.
I
Second.
second.
Go ahead.
Toby,
Go
it's
ahead,
fine for
Billy.
Toby to have it. You good, Toby?
I have a motion from Ms. Wells and a second from Mr. Fair. If there's no further discussion, we will vote. Everybody, please raise your hand. Okay, and Mr. Hammond, are you voting? Currently, we're at 1. If Mr. Hammond, I'm not sure if he is.
Yeah, Mr. Hammond has his hand up.
Does he?
I'm sorry. Yes,
Okay.
it's up.
All right, great. Then it passes unanimously, and then we'll move on to the extension of the superintendent's contract. At this time, the board probably needs to go into executive session to discuss that.
Yeah, they're going to put you in a breakout room.
Yes, I'm fixing to set up the breakout room for executive session.
Do we need to go?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. She said like we did, but she didn't ask the question, did we need to?
You're correct.
Madam President.
Is there any need to go in the executive session?
No.
No.
And I'll entertain a motion.
You'll entertain what?
A motion.
Entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we extend Mr. Ashley's contract.
I second.
Billy second.
So we have a motion from Ms. Johnson and a second from Mr. Fair to extend Mr. Ashley's contract. Is there any further discussion?
Damn.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, we will, I'll entertain a vote. Everyone.
My hand is up.
Okay. And Mr. Hammond, I don't know if I'm not seeing it or, but.
No, I'm not voting. I'm sorry. No.
All right, so we are at 6-1, and with Mr. Hammond abstaining. Is correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, if there's any further to come before the school board, I'll move to.
Madam President?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
got one question to ask Mr. Ashley on how do we do with the minimum wages going up? Do we make sure all of our employees are getting minimum wage pay?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Lewis. One topic. Oh.
I said, yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
No.
Okay. I have nothing else, Madam President.
All right.
Well, I would like to thank you very much for the extension of my contract. I do. I appreciate you very, very much. Thank you.
Mr. Ashley, I would just like to say I appreciate you and the patient and your time spent into in doing a good job to this district. I want to commend you. Each year, I said that last time, but each year it gets harder and harder.
This has been a difficult year. It is difficult, but But I thank you very much, Miss Wells. I tell you what, our kids are worth it. It's not
Exactly.
perfect. It's not perfect, but you know, we're trying to get there. I've got some really good people that are helping. So,
Exactly.
but thank you.
All right, if there's no further business, we will move to adjourn.